All right,
For the
finale.
last 6 months, I've been working on my own NFT project.
We've put hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So you said Nolus,
in,
Chance, and Cosmic.
Personally, the whole team, $1 million plus.
We had an issue with CryptoZoo where our lead developer took the code that he made, fled to Switzerland, actually fled to
That would be
Switzerland,
wild.
and like held it hostage for $1 million.
He literally never
There's
gave
some
me
Mars.
anything at all, ever. Eddie promised me, 5% of the tokens and $1 million. He literally never paid me.
This reporter says Eddie's entire story is fake.
The biggest reason it failed, in my opinion.
Doug, I'm not the bad guy here.
Yeah.
There's some actual out there.
Yeah.
And it's not me. Like, I'm here to build.
Is it tier 1 sugar?
Welcome to part
Give
3.
some
So
rosier.
far, we've discovered fake orphans, millions of dollars stolen, and a cast of sleazy characters. But now, it's time to put it all together. What is the truth? And who's to blame? We're going to start by going through leaked text messages of the CryptoZoo team to understand all of their motivation. Then we'll go to blockchain evidence and show who sold what. And finally, we'll confront some of the people responsible. But before we can
God,
do
the
any
production
of
on
that,
this is so
we
good.
have to start in March of 2021, 6 months before the token even launched. Our 4 suspects, Logan, Crypto King, Eddie, and Jeff, are in a group chat discussing CryptoZoo, which starts as a copy of something else. Quote, "I like imitating CryptoKitties," Jake the Crypto King says. Logan replies, "I agree." And initially, it wasn't called CryptoZoo at all. It was called Crypto Pets, and they were gonna sell a Pets token. And pretty early on, it became clear this was all about money, how they were gonna sell this thing to investors.
No!
In fact, Crypto Kings
In the crypto space? It wasn't about making a good game? Oh. Well, I never. Why I oughta. What the devil?
said he thought it was worth at least $20 million in only 6 months, saying the range is insane. $20 to $210 million. It's beautiful wherever we land. Eddie jumped in at this point and talked about how he could sell the project as an investment to a friend, Matt Higgins, saying, quote, he has to spend that $350 million somewhere. Why not us? And Logan says, I love that idea. Crypto King, I'm in.
Oh, and thank
and
you
of
for
course
the
you have
raid, Pack.
Jeff saying, let's go. So you can see right there, they wanted to sell this game before it had even launched. Now later, Eddie amends the list of investors and says, quote, investors will be Gary Vee, Todd Morley, James Altucher, Ryan Kavanaugh, and others confirmed on my end. Supposedly, they had $100 million of investment interest. Now, I actually went to some of these investors and asked if this was true, and the one person who responded denied it, Ryan Kavanaugh. Quote, nope, not even a little. So this looks like it could be yet another lie from Eddie Ibanez.
Wait, hold on, let me take a peek. I haven't even heard of it until recently. Huge. Hey, hats off to Ryan Kavanaugh for responding here. Of course, he could also be lying, too, I suppose, since he obviously did hear about it and the negative connotation around it. He could be just trying to save face. It's possible. Doesn't really matter anyway at this point, but it's just nice to know that, once again, this is most likely just a lie from Eddie.
So this looks like it could be yet another lie from Eddie Ibanez, but either way, it looks like there was more issues than just finding investors because...
Oh, wait. That's the same Ryan Kavanaugh that owns Triller? Oh, interesting. Very interesting. That doesn't matter at all here, but that is very interesting. That guy's a real goofball. Thank you for the 2 gift subs, white t-shirt. The resub, King Killer, Cossin, Braden, C. Dot, and the Bits Adonis. Logan Paul joined Coffeezilla's Patreon. I saw the tweet, but it's not confirmed Logan Paul, though it does seem like it likely is. Thanks for resub, Rosier, Spud, and the gift sub, Reejmar.
The team wanted to pre-sell tokens, and not everyone was sure it would be legal. Jake the Crypto King mentions that, quote, if we have a pre-sale, it opens us up to SEC issues. And Jeff agrees and says, don't want to do anything that brings the SEC eyeballs. Now, not everyone wanted to be so cautious, though. Logan argues everyone does pre-sale with coins. Eddie agrees. He says, you absolutely can do it. I have the SEC down, private and pre-sale. And honestly, it was quite the
Classic
dilemma
Eddie.
for this team who
Eddie
wanted,
W again,
do a
baby.
pre-sale,
He's done
make
it all.
millions, but you have these potential legal issues. Don't do it, you make less money. So Crypto King comes up with a middle solution. He says, if we can't sell, no pre-sale. We can still trade them in the liquidity pool. And this is the start of a new disaster, which takes a bit of explaining. Now, just so we're clear, a pre-sale is where you sell investors coins, usually at a discount, before you've launched. And then when you launch, you give them those coins. Now, like I said, the team didn't want to do that. So what they did instead was they bought the tokens on the open market right after launch. But they tried to get clever with it because they didn't actually announce that they were launching this coin at all. They stealth launched it on June 11th and didn't announce this token through Logan until August 18th. Meaning they had all that time to silently buy up as much of the supply at a steep discount as they wanted. And the idea here was that doing this, the team could get these tokens extremely cheaply, which is kind of like a pre-sale, but without all the SEC troubles. And Crypto King makes this clear on June 7th when he says, quote, launch of the liquidity pool is where huge money will be made because you get in cheaper. And then says, we, the team, begin buying out the liquidity pool. Once the team has exhausted funds for the liquidity pool buying, we send the contract address to friends, family, investors who want to be able to get in. So
Huge.
Obviously the plan is we buy first, then we give it to our close friends and family, and then maybe the public eventually, right? And even the day before, Crypto King reminds everyone, quote, Zoo Day is tomorrow. I highly recommend everyone get a few $100 to a few $1,000s in Zoo when it goes live. It will likely tend to
It really seems like
1,000x.
Jake is
So
like the actual leader of the project. So what the fuck role did Eddie play? He seems very redundant here. He didn't get any investors because he's just a pathological liar. But it seems like Jake ran everything. Is that going to be the conclusion here? Because that's the impression I'm getting from these messages. He's the one keeping everyone updated on launch day. I imagine he was also the one probably relaying the information to the teams, would be my guess. But maybe he's just like really enthusiastic about the project. I guess we'll see.
That was their plan. Rather than doing a pre-sale, they were going to do this stealth launch and hopefully get tokens cheaply the same way, but without all the legal troubles. Or at least that was the plan. Because on stealth launch day, this is where things first started to go wrong for the team.
He's a tier 1
At first,
water boy.
everything
Resub
seemed to
Hugo,
go normal.
PewDiePie,
The team
JSK,
sat in a
the
circle
Bitch
and literally
Biscuit,
bought it
and
out
Minecraft.
as planned. But the next day,
The 5
Crypto
gives him
King
dizzy.
says something
Dizzy.
odd. Quote, a bot is playing with our token. Kind of cool to watch them work. But he doesn't mention who this bot is. And he also says the asshole finished selling, but doesn't mention who that is. Now, Jeff, Logan's manager, replies upset. He says, how do we prevent someone doing what they just did again? We went from a $130 million to $26 million market cap in 2 hours. It's not cool to watch. Logan jumps in. Yeah, wait, how did that happen? And he also says, what asshole? How did anyone get this token except for us and none of us sold? And I think actually this is incredibly suspicious.
Oh, imagine it's Eddie.
The implication of what Logan's saying is, hey, we tried to scheme this really well. We tried to all buy this without letting anyone know. How did anyone else figure out we were buying it, right? And this is where a fight ensues that's going to become really interesting. Crypto King deflects the question by saying, my buyer pushed it back up to $40 million. And Logan says, no, bro, F your buyer. Explain to me what just happened and how there were 30 token holders. And Jake tries to explain that this was just traders and bots happening to find the token. But Logan says only 5 of us knew about it. Jake says, well, many people chase volume and new tokens. And to some extent, he's kind of right. But Logan replies, cap.
Uh-oh.
He doesn't believe it.
Uh-oh.
I can't be
He
the
dropped
only
the
one who
emoji.
thinks that's too incredibly convenient. Like someone was tipped off. And look,
thanks
no
for
one's
finding
more
this again,
critical
senpai. Thank
of
you.
Logan than me. But as
Thanks
I'm
for
reading
Prime
these
List,
texts, I was kind of
Cringe,
like
Hunter,
agreeing.
and resub
Like,
tip.
yeah, it does seem too nonchalant when somebody's ruining your secret plot. You know what I mean? Because Crypto King was acting very strange. He says, we created $40 million out of thin air. This is a success. Logan replies, this nonchalance worries me. F 40 million. It was at 120 million, which again, it's all about the money with these guys. But truth be told, I did agree that Crypto King's attitude seemed strange in these texts. I mean, he's not wrong that bots are a thing. Traders.
He's just a weird guy. I think he's a greasy slime ball. I've already said that. But I also don't think he'd be the one sabotaging internally either. He doesn't strike me as smart enough to even think of that. But maybe he just plays a fucking dumb idiot. So maybe he's more cunning than I give him credit for. To me, the impression I get reading his messages is a guy that's trying to calm down an angry dog. He's like, no, but 40 million's great, Logan. No, it's wonderful, actually. These things, it'll be water under the bridge once we're back to scamming. Just let it go. Thanks to the tier 1 Mike in the resub. Gamer and the 5 gift subs, Barry. Thank you, Barry.
Are a thing. But it sounded like he didn't want anyone to look into it. So, naturally, I looked into it. And what I found surprised me, because there were bots, but there's also unusual human activity during this time. So I tracked the 5 biggest buyers of this zoo coin. And lo and behold, this is what I found. Logan was one of the biggest buyers, which is what you'd expect. But he wasn't the biggest. In fact, 2 of the biggest wallets seem to be associated with Crypto King himself.
Oh, okay.
And here's where I pause. I said,
Interesting.
wait a second. Why did this guy buy more zoo tokens than Logan when this is mostly Logan's project? I thought Crypto King was a small part of this team. And so, to get more info on this, I actually got access to an internal meeting note from the day of June 11th, which they called Zoo Day. And in it, we find actually some interesting information. We see that 5 founders bought in. They apparently were, quote, trading in circles until each person maxed out. But on the list of buyers and how much they spend are only 4 people, when we know 5 people bought. We have Danny, Logan's assistant, for 20K, Logan Paul for 100K, Jeff at 100K, and Eddie at 100K, but Crypto King is nowhere to be found. And yet, on the blockchain, I have him putting in $200,000 worth. And this number, by the way, seemingly is confirmed in a conversation I had with Crypto King, where he said, my 200K investment. And the reason this is important is because it does imply that something shady was going on the day of the stealth launch. Because Crypto King had a relatively small role in this whole project. He was the advisor, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Like you can see from the internal meeting notes, they have a breakdown of who's getting what in terms of founder tokens. And like Logan Paul's getting 51%, Eddie's getting 30%, Jeff's getting 10%. Jake's only getting 5% of tokens, but he has the most of these like stealth launch tokens, which makes no sense. And it got me thinking that maybe what explains this suspicious behavior around like, oh, don't worry about who was buying at the time of the launch. Maybe that's explained because perhaps no one knew that he was buying up large parts of the token supply. Maybe he was buying it to sell later. Now, of course, that's speculation. So that's why I confronted Crypto King on all of this.
God, that's so beautiful. Let's assume that's all true. And to me, that sounds very reasonable. Let's assume it is Jeff. He's gone on there like the Crypto Zoo boogeyman. He's now buying up all that shit, hoping to hold it for later, sell it for much higher, without anyone knowing it, and then still playing like the goofball in the chat, like, oh, these weird bots. This is odd activity, but it's nothing to be concerned about. No reason to dig any deeper. Let's just be satisfied with what we've got here, you know. And then behind the scenes, he's the one pulling the strings here. What I love is that this went belly up, and I don't think he made any money. He just lost all of the money he invested to try and fuck him. So that's beautiful. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe at some point there was money to be earned from having those tokens that he stealth purchased, but I don't think there was, at least not based on my understanding of this whole project and its failure. So he ended up just getting scammed by himself. That's my speculation. I don't want any spoilers in the chat. I guess we'll see. But yeah, I do suppose he could have been he could have been able to make out very well. I don't want any spoilers, damn it.
Get to that call. Let's address the elephant in the room. Logan didn't accuse Crypto King of being a scam. It was the other way around. Crypto King told Logan Paul he was a scammer. And the question is, why? Well, to answer that, we have to go from June, the stealth launch date, to September 1st, the official launch date of Crypto Zoo.
September 1st, CryptoZoo.co.
Now, the day of the launch was a bit strange because you might think, well, they already have a token, right? But the first thing they did was actually create a new Zoo token with a different code, but the same name. And they actually airdropped all the holders of the first Zoo token with an identical amount of those coins on the second Zoo token. So you might be wondering, why did they do that? Well, maybe it's to change the smart contract, but maybe it's because of what they did do. They blacklisted some of the holders. In other words, they didn't airdrop to everyone, including Jake the Crypto King. They excluded his wallets so it couldn't get these Zoo coins. Jake texts the group about this the next day, saying, quote, "The Zoo team made a major error this weekend. They chose not to communicate, mint a new token, and airdrop it to whatever wallets they determined fit. This decision came from Eddie and Logan, and I had no part in it. 11,250 wallets before the airdrop, under 11,000 after. They chose to blacklist and ban over 200 wallets. Now, who those wallets are, I have no idea." But he continues, quote, "As a founder like Logan, Jeff, Eddie, and Danny, I had purchased a large quantity of tokens. 5+ of my wallets had been blacklisted from the original team's buys." Now, I don't know why he had 5+ wallets there, but okay. He says 80+ billion Zoo tokens were confiscated from me today without any communication. So, wow. That's why Crypto King accused Logan of stealing from him or scamming. It's because he was frozen out of a lot of his wallets. And then we get to the text you guys all know. He says, "Logan, you stole $40 million. You're a scammer. You're a con artist, all that stuff. You betrayed your community. The reality is you aren't that guy." And Logan responds, "Oh, Jake, trust me, bro. I am that guy."
I still love that line.
"In the arms of an angel." And look, I mean, what do we make of this? Well, I don't know. I can't root for either of these guys because it sounds like Logan stabbed him in the back, but it sounds like Crypto King may have stabbed him in the back in the first place, right? Because it does appear like he bought tokens that maybe everyone didn't know about. So I'm really not a fan of anyone in this situation. And by the way, this whole thing was structured so misleadingly from the beginning. I have to talk to you a bit about it because you might think that these tokens were the only tokens they had, but it's not even true. In the distribution section of Zoo's white paper, they say there's 2 trillion tokens, and a quarter of that are allocated to development, marketing, and founders. Those aren't even the tokens we're talking about right now, because they claim that those tokens were locked up for 6 months, and then afterwards, 10% was unlocked every month. And if that's true, there would be no reason for these funds to be blacklisted, right? Why would you blacklist something that would be locked up? And the answer is because, well, the founders had more than one set of tokens. Not only did they supposedly have these founder tokens that were locked up and couldn't be sold, these stealth launch tokens were different from that. It's like a whole different thing. And the tokens that they bought, that all of these guys bought, they could sell at basically any time because they weren't locked up, which is a massive problem. And this fact was explicitly
were the other ones
laid out
even
in
ever
their
actually
meeting
locked
notes
up?
with only one rule. They say, quote, "No selling until $200 million market cap, and don't impact the market more than 3%, and not impact the market more than 10% in a day." And by the way, this is basically conspiracy to manipulate a market. You know, they're literally having insider rules for how to sell. But we're gonna look past that. Right?
Not even important.
Because these rules eventually kind of changed. A text from Logan's manager, Jeff Levin, came to the group chat, Zoo Founders,
Jake's got other
saying,
plans.
"Guys, new and absolute rules. No one is to sell or transfer any Zoo. Logan's gonna make the call when we can make moves." And Logan replies, "Your tokens do not leave your wallet. This is a game." Now, that all sounds well and good. Don't sell your tokens, but the reality was, I mean, they're just kind of trusting each other because these tokens that they're talking about, they're unlocked. They're not locked up, and they could sell it at any time. And I guess the question on my mind
is, a loaded gun in the dark.
Crypto King's tokens were blacklisted because they thought he would sell, or maybe it's just the fact they found out he bought and they didn't know about all those tokens. It's honestly hard to say without knowing more evidence. And this is where we're going to jump into the blockchain. Now, I've tracked the wallets of the entire team and identified the largest seller of Zoo in the team.
Joe,
and
control,
it wasn't
give some sugar.
Jeff.
Resub Gato,
It wasn't
tier 1
Danny.
duck, sugar,
It
and the
wasn't
Prime lads.
even Logan. It was Crypto King. Crypto King sold, by my calculations, millions of dollars. And I know what you're thinking, how's that possible, right? I thought his tokens were blacklisted the day of the official launch. How could he sell that much? Well, the answer is that not all of his tokens were blacklisted. He had even more tokens behind the scenes.
The bots.
And what's worse,
okay.
the CryptoZoo team actually gave him back a lot of his blacklisted tokens, which I guess you can see as a good thing or a bad thing, because he then turned around and sold those tokens, right? And from my blockchain analysis across his blacklisted tokens he got back and the tokens that he had squirreled away the whole time, he ended up making $6 million.
Oh, it's sickening.
By sending out tokens from these larger wallets to dozens of smaller wallets, selling it, and then sending the money to final cash out wallets.
Rough.
So he used those final wallets to calculate the amount he made. Now,
it still just blows my fucking mind that even after all of the Pokemon shit, Logan still brings that guy around and gets fucked by him again. What a cuck. Unreal. I thought there was a chance. It seemed pretty clear Jake was absolutely the shadiest one so far. I just thought there was a chance he didn't make any money off of it because it was such a colossal failure of a project. But I guess he must have just been able to strike it at the right time and make that money. Damn, Jake got him again. That is a fool me twice situation right there. He got Logan again. Thanks for the resub, Colin. Jake just fucking farms Logan, man. And then Logan farms his audience with the scams. What a really beneficial relationship for Jake.
I know. Look, it's a lot to accuse someone of selling $6 million in a project that doesn't even work. It's a giant scam. So I wanted to give him a chance to defend himself. So I got on a call with Crypto King. And here's what he said when I finally revealed that I knew he had sold.
It's going to change this whole fucking story. Yeah, I'll go on the record for you. And yes, I'm going to show you the text message that say we can sell at these ascending market caps. And literally, I'm going to... 100%. It sounds like your biggest issue with me is that I sold. And if that's your biggest issue with me, that's the truth.
Wow. That is a big admission. Selling tokens for a project that you're an advisor on when the project has never been delivered.
Well, not only that, he's also admitting to the insider trading rules, which is not, strictly speaking, a legal thing to do, though it is the crypto space and nothing makes sense and nothing's enforced. But he's admitting to a lot of bad things right there, actually.
Although Crypto King insists that it wasn't $6 million and he wasn't trying to rug a project. In fact, really, he might be the one who got screwed over in all of this.
Like, I didn't sell $6 million worth. That's going to be other wallets, but that's probably not going to be able to be me being able to be proven, except for them saying, can you send BNB to all these different wallets for me? Which that I'll be able to show you that I was giving BNB to the whole team. I'll also be able to show you that I was a 5% holder of the Zoo tokens that I was promised to be given over the 3-month period, was never given. I can also show you that I was frozen out and was never given the 15 billion tokens back that I paid for in cash. So
okay.
I'll show you all of those things on the record, and then you can also say that I did sell, which is also true.
Yep.
Well, as long as it's accompanied with he was a founder that was supposed to be given 5% of the project and was never given the token or paid, worked for almost a year on the project. As long as that goes in with it, then at least that tells my side of the story so people understand that it's not like I was trying to rug a project.
This is so brutally honest. So not only does he admit to it, but he is also supplying all of the evidence as well. That is... Wow, what a great source. Hey, kind of like a lukewarm W from Jake there, because he just sinks everything. Like, he just fucks everyone equally, including himself. Very interesting strategy. That's a pretty crazy self-report on this whole situation. It blows my mind how, like, the dumbest people make the most money from this shit. This is not a smart man. He literally has admitted to a crime right now. I don't know if he realizes that. Like, if they ever do enforce crypto-related crimes, he is publicly admitted to one. And I guess potentially multiple, depending on all the evidence he's submitted here. And he's doing it with a goddamn smile on his face.
It's like I put $250,000 into a project plus 6 months of time, and the founder never did anything he said he was going to do, and then hired a bunch of devs that didn't do what they were going to do. And every time I gave advice, the advice was I was told to fuck off. So it can be that story, or it can be he sold all this amount and he got in early. Well, yeah, that's like 1% of it, though.
Incredible.
Well, we got the whole story
now. He sounds
now.
like he views himself as the victim, or at least like
or a hero.
He got screwed too, which just has to win the gold medal for me for mental gymnastics. Because I mean, he literally had put $200,000 into this, and he says he made millions of dollars. Even if you take him at his word that he didn't make the full $6 million, he admits to me later that it might be a pretty close guess. He tells me via text, quote, "I don't care if you tell people I sold a few million and leave it at that." Well, okay, $6 million, a few $1 million, it's millions of dollars, right? Millions of dollars when you only put in $200,000 into a project that's never been delivered, doesn't work, scammed people out of their money.
And was always designed to be a money-making scam.
In the wrong. Well, in his view, what he did was not wrong. It might have been arguably unethical, but it wasn't illegal. And what Logan did, well, that was illegal.
You can say the timing was bad and it was inappropriate to sell, but the reality is I bought tokens open market and sold them open market. So there was nothing illegal about that. Ethically, arguable. The rest that Logan did to me was ethically wrong and illegal.
Now, what do I think of all this?
This would be amazing. Imagine Jake presses charges and tries to sue Logan Paul and the team. This is such an interesting story because it is literally scammers scamming scammers. And then at the end of the day, the people that end up losing the most is normal people who somehow bought into the scam by proxy. But I feel like at no point, like this entire team ever understood anything about the space. They were all just trying to fuck each other. Like literally just swallowing each other's meat, like, and lying to each other. And like, this is crazy. This has so many moving pieces. Eddie was lying to everyone from the start. He never did anything for the project besides just fucking lie and sell hopium. Jake, from the start, was immediately fucking them and scamming them, buying tokens stealthily behind all of their backs in the effort to immediately sell to rug it. Regardless of what he says, that's clearly what he was doing. He was literally rugging it from the get-go. They had insider trading marketing protocols in order so that way they can continue to manipulate the market and profit maximally from it, that nobody followed and had to go by the trust system on, okay, follow our insider trading protocol. This is so wild. Holy shit. It is literally scamming at every possible avenue of this project. The developers never getting paid. Multiple developers never getting paid. Two different like developing orgs, I think, right? They had the first one where the code got held hostage and another one come in, still didn't pay. Apparently other team members not being paid. Like everyone got scammed at every level except Jake right now. He somehow still made out with millions. He was the last scammer scamming, standing atop the pile of corpses.
Finger pointing. Well, I think it's pretty wild to try to make yourself look like the lesser of two evils when you made millions of dollars and investors lost millions. I just do. Now, at the same time, I want to be fair to Crypto King. He's not the only one who sold here. But I also have to say, not everyone from the founders did sell. For example, Jeff, Logan's manager, to my knowledge, never sold. Neither did Logan Paul, which was a huge surprise. All their wallets that I tracked, held on to their tokens, which is good. And to their credit for a game that doesn't work. But you know who did sell? Eddie Ibanez. The guy who didn't pay the initial devs, the supposed MIT orphan. Yeah. From what I could see, his initial wallet got a ton of zoo, sent it to a bunch of smaller wallets, and then sold off, kind of like Crypto King. And for my calculations, he made about $1.7 million. Now, I have to tell you that like Jake, I tried to confront him and give him the opportunity to defend himself, but he never replied to my emails or my phone calls, and we're just gonna have to leave it there. But we're not done with the money just yet, because we still need to talk about the eggs. Remember, we talked about how they profited from ZooCoin, but they also made millions from eggs. According to their own internal meeting notes, they plan to make about $3 million selling these eggs for 0.1 ETH a piece. And that's not far from what I calculated they actually did make, which was about $2.5 million. In the meeting notes, they say they're gonna clear expenses and then do payouts. But payout who? They don't say. And these expenses are referencing an earlier note suggesting Eddie and Logan had both spent $300,000 each, which I'll say is not $1 million. But okay, we'll give...
I will also say, I don't think Eddie has $300,000. This man's entire life is built on an empire of lies. Like, I don't think he even has this money. I feel like what happened here is Eddie said, yeah, I'll put in $300,000 for something here. And they're like, oh, okay, great. Thanks, Eddie. And he just never did. And they never even bothered to circle back around to check on it. He does have 1.7 million now, though. True. Now he has money. There's the Prime Show and Westwood and the resub Gore and Banished.
But okay, we'll give it to him, right? So they got paid back their $600,000, but where does the rest of the money go? Well, on the Ethereum side, there's one payout for $364,000 to one wallet and another $1 million to another. Both are Coinbase addresses, so we don't know who exactly that is, but clearly someone on the team made a lot of money from these NFT egg sales that do not work. And on the Binance Smart Chain side, where they also made money selling eggs, the zoo that was spent was supposed to be set aside for 50% to be burned, which they did, but the other 50% was supposed to be allocated for wildlife charities and crypto zoo development. Now, neither seems to have happened because all the money is in a wallet that the team still controls, so there are open questions about, where that money is going to go and where the Ethereum money went. Did it go to Jake? Did it go to Logan? Did it go to Jeff? Did it go to Eddie? We don't know. But what I know for sure is that no one was innocent, although there are certainly shades of guilt you can argue about because, of course, not everyone did sell. You could look at that as the most important thing. Logan Paul didn't sell. Jeff, Logan's manager, didn't sell. But does that make them innocent?
No, well, not even close.
I don't think so because they never built
absolutely
the game they promised people. Logan Paul specifically got millions of dollars spent on this game on the promise of the technology that he never built, that his team never built. And he never addressed the failure except to blame his developers who weren't paid. And you could say he promised to work backwards to fix it, but then never did. But at the same time,
hey, there's still time. Maybe he's working on it right now.
Because there are major team issues, right? You've got Eddie selling millions of dollars of Zoo and then allegedly not paying developers. You've got Jeff, who was warned about Eddie, who kept him on the team anyways. And then after they fired Eddie, seems to also have failed to pay developers on time. And then you've got Crypto King himself, who sold the most, but claims he was the guy who was scammed, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It's just like Avengers Assemble for the worst possible team you can imagine to build a crypto gang.
And
so,
all the Avengers are scammers.
A lot of these guys backstabbed each other. And so finding a way to wrap this up was difficult because it's hard to assign exact proportions of blame. Because if you focus on any one person, you kind of miss why this project failed. CryptoZoo, at the end of the day, did not fail because the price went too low. CryptoZoo failed because they never built a functioning game that they promised. Really, the number one problem, even bigger than people selling millions of dollars of tokens, was that they never paid the developers on time, as boring as that is. And as a result, the investors not only got rugged for millions of dollars, which is a problem, but they just didn't get the core thing they had bought from the beginning, which was not a crypto project, but something different.
I'm excited to launch.
They bought into an idea.
You keep using
a bad idea.
You just did it again. You keep using a
and
word
nothing
there.
else.
Game. You're not using like a project. It's a game.
It's a game. It's a really fun game that makes you money.
Nothing more fun than looking at
that
PNGs and nothing else.
That to me is the biggest scam in all of this. Yes, it's a huge problem. People stole millions of dollars, but it's a symptom of the larger issue, which is people didn't actually care about the game or this, whatever you want to call it. They just cared about the money. And this is ultimately what happens when you have an influencer LARPing as a businessman. It's what happens when you have a liar LARPing as a developer. And it's what happens when you have a shady crypto guru LARPing as a crypto king. You end up with a mess. And in my personal opinion, a fraud as well. And now that this thing blew up in their faces, these four seem to be dodging accountability faster than SBF dodges calls with me. Because I have reached out to everyone involved, tried to get all of their statements on things.
Jake's very open about it.
Has taken accountability or offered to refund the victims at all. They're all hiding, pretending these victims don't even exist.
I feel like Jake was very open about all of it. He just doesn't give a fuck, though. He's like, oh, they were scamming me, so I scammed them. But, at the end of the day, I was the victim, so fuck them. And he doesn't even acknowledge all of, the completely normal, innocent people that he also fucked in the mouth. Because he just doesn't care. That's just who he is. He is a biological, loser. He is born to be a sleazeball. It's what his whole career has been built on. Like, this is just him. This is his soul. He just doesn't care. Thanks to the resub Carson and Bulldog and the Prime Smelly and resub Zeal.
But they do exist, and throughout my investigations, they've been the heartbeat of this whole thing. So I decided to close this investigations in a bit of a unique way. Rather than me deciding who's to blame or me deciding what you should think,
Merry Christmas,
I want to give
everyone.
them the last word.
Happy holidays.
Everyone's to blame. Logan, in the sense of his poor management, is his project. He still made these promises to people.
I think everyone it is to blame, including Logan Paul, of course, because he was the one in charge of this, and he was responsible for all of this mess.
Everybody has a big part and a massive cross to bear.
Each one of them scammed the project in their own way, and then off to the sunset they went.
It was his job to check the team, to make sure that everyone is working together, to make sure that he is giving the funds of the people that put it into his project under his name to people that he actually trusts. So in my opinion, if the team failed to perform, that's Logan Paul to blame.
The community is destroyed.
Even in the face of all of this, I think they're still missing the core problem that Logan never had interest in them. Logan, obviously, with all the messages, obviously only did this to exploit them for money. He never cared about the project being good or anything like that. He didn't care if the team was managed properly. As long as he could get the bag at the end of it, that was clearly the main chief concern of his. And people are still trying, and I'm not blaming them, I don't want anyone to misconstrue this, but it's people still have this perception that he wanted to make the project work, but just wasn't good enough for it, when that was never the goal. That was never his intention with this project. It was a scam from the very start. Thanks, resub Massive, Tempori, Dan, and the Prime Cash, and the 5 gift subs Dense. Thank you, Dense. The resub Radiator, Geo, and the Bits Terrible.
People is angry. They just want their money back. They just want their normal lives back.
Reimburse.
Yep, absolutely
those
reimburse
that they have, or how to rebuild the project, actually deliver on the project.
Oh, no.
For those who are still holding their eggs, like I am.
No.
The zoo coins. So maybe
you don't want that. You do not want that. Reimbursement, yes. Rebuild the project, no.
they could just deliver what they promised, and that would give some redemption to this fiasco.
He's not said a word. That's as bad, or almost as bad, as taking the money. It's the not coming out and just being a man about it.
At least we deserve to know what was happening behind the scenes while we were waiting for almost a year and a half. The fact that we're hearing this information not from Logan Paul, but from pretty much an investigator, it really says a lot.
What did this loss mean to me? It meant a lot. Not just personally, because I lost quite a lot of money. My kid and also my wife were invested. It was like telling a kid that Santa doesn't exist or something like that, because she really believed in all that game. She really believed in Logan Paul. Kids look up to that kind of people. So it was some kind of broken dream.
My mum was invested. My sister was also invested. So I mean, my daughter even had a couple of the eggs and animals, which the loss for them hurts the most, because obviously it's just not nice to see.
For somebody to win, somebody has to lose. That's a gamble you take, whether you get into crypto or not. I got in knowing that I could lose, which is fine. That's on me. But I thought if I lost something, it would be because I sold at the wrong time, or the game didn't earn as much as I thought it would, and therefore my things weren't as valuable. But you never go into it thinking it's not something that they're going to just sell out from underneath you, because they could make so much more if they actually delivered on what they said.
Not really, though. It's very expensive. Well, this project, not in particular. I actually think a group of like 3 college students could have made their game in a week. It is literally pictures that then combine 2 other pictures, and that's it. It's the simplest idea I think I've ever heard. It's also the worst idea for a game ever. But in general, that belief that they'd make more money if they actually delivered something good, I think is a little wrong, because it's too expensive long-term to develop something good, whereas they can just make a quick paycheck, bounce, and then do it all over again. That's very common in the space. There's just no incentive. Like, it's just much quicker and probably more lucrative to just immediately pull the plug and make that money.
Even if they delivered on close to what they said. And that's the thing, is you don't think they're going to rug you because there was so much money in a game wallet.
Ultimately, at the end, the way...
And that's another thing, I'll say this again. In the crypto space, it is guilty until proven innocent. You should go into every crypto anything with the idea that this is a scam until I am proven otherwise. Because that is absolutely the safest way you should approach anything there. If you're so inclined, if you're a glutton for punishment that for some reason sees a crypto project you like.
Yeah, I see it as it was fraud. Logan could have put out the red flags, told people to stop investing more into it, because people were investing into this project until the very last minute, where the ship was still just sinking down the ocean, and people were still putting their cash into it.
If I was on a call with Logan Paul, I would ask him, where did his redemption arc go? I think he was on such a good streak going about his YouTube career and boxing as well, and it's sad to see that because of money, once again, we have degraded down to stealing from his viewers.
What would I say to Logan Paul and his team if I could? Well, actually, I could, because I have an NFT from other project that gives me the right to see Logan Paul, to meet and greet with him. And I will actually use that right to tell him this story again, show him this video in front of me, and see how he reacts when he sees that my family, my whole family and my kid are affected with this situation.
Fuck, I feel so bad for this guy in particular. I really do. He bought into it so hard under the impression that Logan Paul, being in the position he is, wouldn't fuck him. Oh, I don't know if he's being sarcastic here. It doesn't strike me as sarcasm. Clearly, Logan would never actually honor this NFT promise. I mean, maybe now he would, because the pressure's mounted so much thanks to Coffeezilla. Maybe now he actually would sit down and genuinely have a conversation with him and reimburse him. But prior to this, he wouldn't. He wouldn't piss in this guy's mouth if he was dying of thirst. Logan doesn't give a fuck. This NFT to meet Logan, he would have never honored it.
Because I think that's not human.
You would think that Logan would have told his fellow followers, his loyal fans, that, hey guys, back off, red flag, things are there's turbulence in the water. No, not a single word, nothing whatsoever.
To market products at children and knowing full well that his team is made up of people that he believes are shady characters. Yeah, he still goes on Forbes interviews and says the game is great for kids. It's gonna be amazing.
Who loves it most? Oh, just read that sentence. Yuck. I think that's the most important thing we're doing, Paul said. Kids are gonna care about the blockchain because of my project. Oh, that makes you want to fucking puke. Imagine if your first experience on the blockchain is with CryptoZoo. Coming up with really, really fun plans for 6 months, a year down the line, 2 years down the line. Like, this could be one of the biggest things I do. Ugh. It's so gross. These are some cholesterol 80s artist. Young, Honorable, Mia, Mudkip, Joshua, Chaz, Maz, Zombie, and Drago.
Great for kids. It's gonna be amazing.
Who loves it most? The kids. Their kids love it.
Our developers' kids, all of them. cannot stop playing the game.
What are they playing?
Inhumane the way that side of it's been marketed.
Kids love looking at PNGs.
Knowing that all of the people that were there from the beginning, like all of the guys that I'd speak to on a daily basis, that we've all just got nothing now. Ideally, I just want to say I'll see you in court.
Hopefully you get the chance. Okay, there you go, Jeff. Fuck, this was so good. Fuck! Oh, I gotta hit up Coffeezilla. This was just unreal. Give me 2 seconds.
I uncovered a fraud worth $4 billion.
For the...
Just give me 2 seconds. Thanks to the Prime. Abona and the resub Jake, Devin, and Drago. Jake Crypto King replied to Logan and Coffee's tweet. I don't really give a fuck about his perspective though. Like legitimately, he was already an open book. I think he's already been hosed for all of the information he has in regards to this. Like, I think everything with him is very clear. Like, there's nothing with him or his motivation, what he did, or anything that I'm even confused on. Like, where there could be any wiggle room for an explanation. Like, this is just... That feels to me like clout chasing. I'll read his response real quick, though, just for the sake of getting everything, but... I mean, the guy is just an absolute fucking snake. Is the tweet you're talking about where he just replies to Coffeezilla's tweet about Logan subscribing to his Patreon? Because all Crypto King says is, but it's all on YouTube now. Is there more on Patreon? What am I missing? To answer your question, though, Crypto King, yeah, there's more on Patreon. So Coffeezilla has exclusive content over there, such as, like, interviews. One that chat's pointed out in particular is an interview with a single mother who got really fucked by this scam. If you'd like to hear from her, Crypto King, not that you give a fuck about human emotion. But yeah, his Patreon content is bangers. I don't see any other tweet from him about this. Nope, here's another one. This was a reply to Logan Paul's tweet about Coffeezilla being usually great, but wrong this time. He replied to a guy that said, invite everyone Coffee called out, including Coffee, including myself, including a lot of other individuals that went unmentioned. That was Crypto King saying that. Thanks to the resub Lucat, Harry, and Tier 1 Sammy, and the resub Sig. Damn, that was so fucking good. Oh, Logan Paul putting out the response January 3rd. I know. It just seems more like an advertisement for his podcast. Right now, I'm 1 for 1 on predictions when it comes to this kind of shit. I think what Logan Paul, the angle he'll play, is he's going to kind of corroborate a lot of what Coffeezilla said here and focus entirely on just all of the other people that he's surrounded with that were scamming. Because everyone around him was scamming. That's very clear now. I think he's going to try and, like, preach his innocence by the fact that he didn't sell and that he went silent on the project. And he's going to say, like, he chalked it up to being, like, naive and afraid of backlash, which is why he didn't warn people sooner, and that he really had the best, their best intention. Like, he had the best intentions with their money in mind about trying to deliver on this project at some point because he really wanted to make it right. But he's going to drill really heavily on Crypto King and Eddie. He's not going to touch on Jeff. To him, Jeff is going to do no wrong. He's not going to throw Jeff under the bus. It's going to be all Crypto King and Eddie who are the puppet masters. They lied to him. They used him. They sunk the project internally. And he's going to only hinge his innocence on the fact that he didn't sell. I don't think he's going to address the millions that were made off of the egg sales. I don't think he's going to talk about that. It's going to be focused on just Jake and Eddie. That's my prediction. He won't touch on any of the other stuff. He's a prime angry. But I'd be very happy to be proven wrong. I'd like to see a very honest Logan Paul talk about like how he just got blinded by greed. He saw the crypto space blowing up and knew he could just emulate another project It was never designed to be like a great game. He wanted just a money-making project. But he'll never do that. Do you think he'll address the leaked texts? Yes. I don't think he's going to try and play them off as fake because those leaked texts come directly from like Crypto King and a certain... I think, right? Crypto King leaked the internal meeting logs. I don't know if he was the one that leaked the group text, but I don't think he's going to try and say those are fake. I don't think he's even going to try that angle because I think Coffeezilla could easily disprove that and that would immediately fuck him. Wasn't Jake who leaked it? Coffee hasn't said. No. Like I said, Jake wasn't. I don't think Jake was the one that leaked the group messages. But Jake did say in that conversation that he has no problem providing that material. In his conversation with Coffeezilla, he said he has no problem providing like actual material that they used in the meetings. And then Coffeezilla showed some of the documents. I'm assuming that came from Jake. How do you think Prime and KSI will recover with this scam coming out and bringing all this attention? Will this be the end of Prime and Logan Paul? Okay, I don't think it's going to affect Prime. I'll tell you right now. I think if things really keep escalating the way they have been, and thank God they are because I think this is a big deal, and it's just really nice to see Coffeezilla being at the forefront of the conversation here. He's been doing great work for so long. It's great to finally see people talking about him and what he's done with Logan Paul here. If it continues to escalate, I think what might happen, KSI buys out Logan Paul's shares and KSI runs Prime himself. As the face. Obviously, he doesn't run the company solo, but he would be the face. He would buy out Logan Paul's shares enough so that way he is no longer the face. That would be my guess as to what happens here. But I don't even think it'll reach that point. I think Prime's not going to take a hit. You're forgetting that he's that guy. True. As he said, he is that guy. Thanks a resub. Kaleidoscope. Why do people agree to talk to Coffeezilla? They only dig themselves a bigger hole. Well, believe it or not, because a lot of these people are fucking stupid. That's why. A lot of these people actually start buying into their own bullshit, loving the smell of their own farts so much that they convince themselves that their reasons make sense. So they'll talk to Coffeezilla and think that they're defending themselves without ever even realizing and processing that they are actually sinking. It happens every time. Coffeezilla's now got 2 people to admit to crime. Directly admit to crime. You got SPF to admit to fraud, and now Jake comes in here and admits to market manipulation and basically just knowingly rug pulling. I don't know what to tell you. They are just not smart. Tier 1 Zexion in the resub Shebe. Do I think big corporations might buy into crypto scams and slander themselves stupidly like everyone these days? Wait, what do you mean? No, I think the days of that are past. Then they did hop onto the crypto shit. Don't you remember all the corporate NFTs they tried peddling? All that dog shit?